What if the hardest working people on Earth were, actually doing it completely wrong?
Oh man, that is a terrifying thought for most of us.
Right. Because we are taught from day one that wealth is just this math equation. It's an engineering problem.
Yeah, exactly. The whole vending machine mindset.
Yes. You build a spreadsheet, you run the math, you clock your, 80-hour weeks,
Yeah.
and the money is just supposed to pop out at the bottom.
You put the effort in, you get the success out. It makes us feel safe because it's quantifiable.
But anyone who has actually spent enough time in the real world eventually hits a ceiling where that math just completely breaks down.
It breaks down hard. And that is exactly where today's deep dive begins.
Welcome in, everybody. Today we are exploring a genuinely radical transcript. It's from the YouTube channel Napoleon Hill Notes, and it's titled Train Your Aura to Attract Wealth.
Which I know sounds a little out there at first glance.
It really does. The core premise totally challenges the foundation of hustle culture. It asks you, what if your financial success has almost nothing to do with grinding yourself into absolute exhaustion?
And everything to do with your energetic broadcast signal.
Now, I know, the minute you hear the word aura, you might be picturing crystal balls and incense.
Maybe some guru sitting cross-legged on a mountain.
Exactly. But we are leaving the mystical woo-woo interpretations at the door today.
Completely. Our mission with this source material is to examine the concept of an aura through a highly disciplined technical lens.
We're talking neuroscience, right?
Yes, neuroscience, nervous system regulation, and what the source brilliantly refers to as emotional hygiene.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the text is arguing that wealth is actually a side effect of energetic alignment.
It's not a gazelle you chase down on the savannah, it's something you magnetize.
But to understand how that actually works, we have to kind of redefine our vocabulary here. If an aura isn't a magical glowing halo, what is it biologically?
So, the source defines the aura as your broadcast signal. Functionally, it is the frequency you emit unconsciously and consistently.
The frequency you emit unconsciously, that's the key.
Exactly. In biological terms, we are talking about the emotional baseline of your nervous system. It's your vagal tone.
It's the stuff you don't even realize you're doing.
Right. It's the micro-expressions on your face, your resting heart rate, your posture, and even the subtle cadence of your voice.
And the text points out something fascinating about this. Your aura negotiates terms for you before you even speak or enter a room.
It sets the table before you even pull up a chair.
Before you pitch an idea, ask for a raise, or launch a product, your energetic signature has already arrived.
That reframes every interaction in your life. It means you're constantly negotiating, even in total silence.
Which ties directly into what the source calls the law of resonance. The text explicitly states that you do not attract what you chase. You attract what you are.
That is such a crucial distinction.
I really want to dig into the mechanics of that because, it sounds poetic, but how does resonance actually work in the physical brain?
Well, the mechanism behind this is heavily tied to the reticular activating system, or the RAS in your brain.
The RAS, right.
That's the filter.
Exactly. It's this bundle of nerves at our brainstem that filters out unnecessary information so only the important stuff gets through.
Because if we processed everything, our brains would just melt.
We'd be overwhelmed in seconds. So your baseline emotional state actually programs that filter.
Okay, so if your baseline is lack or desperation,
Then your RAS will literally filter your reality to validate that lack. You will only notice threats, dead ends, and rejections.
wow. So you wouldn't even see an opportunity if it was right in front of you?
You wouldn't. Your brain deems it irrelevant to your current state of survival.
So when the source argues that wanting is weak, but belief is powerful, it's talking about how we program that filter.
Spot on. Wanting implies a gap. It implies you don't have the thing, which programs the brain for scarcity because you're focused on the lack of it.
Right, but belief implies inevitability. It programs the RAS to look for the pathway there.
Let's think about this in the context of traditional hustle culture for a second. Because if wealth were purely about effort, the hardest workers in the world, like people doing backbreaking labor 14 hours a day, they would all be billionaires.
But they aren't, because effort without alignment is just friction.
Friction, that's a great way to put it.
The physical exertion doesn't compensate for a nervous system that expects failure or expects struggle.
It's like trying to tune a radio to a classical music station while your internal dial is rusted and stuck on heavy metal.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Right. You can hit the radio as hard as you want. You can apply maximum effort to the dashboard, but you're not getting a Mozart symphony until you actually change the frequency of the receiver.
And let's take that radio analogy a step further. It's not just that your internal dial is rusted, it's that your nervous system is actually terrified of the classical music.
Hey, really? Terrified of success.
Yes. Your body is habituated to the chaos of heavy metal. It feels safe in the struggle because it's familiar.
Oh, wow. So when you hit the radio and try to force a new reality.
Your subconscious sabotages the effort. It perceives the unfamiliar success as a literal threat to your baseline homeostasis.
So that's why we attract miscommunications or mischances or delays.
Exactly, because your aura cannot lie. It broadcasts your underlying terror of outgrowing your current reality.
Man, if the universe or the market or the people we interact with can read that underlying terror, that completely destroys the classic fake it till you make it advice.
It absolutely shreds it.
Because for decades, self-help gurus have told people to just paste on a smile, buy a suit they can't afford, and trick the world into thinking they're already successful.
And the source identifies that as a massive trap. It calls it a lack of energetic congruence.
Energetic congruence.
Yes.
So alignment between what you say and what you actually feel.
Yes. The problem with faking it is that human beings are evolutionary machines designed to detect incongruence.
You were wired for it.
Deeply wired. We have mirror neurons in our brains that automatically read the micro-expressions, breathing patterns, and eye movements of the people around us to assess threats.
So when you chant success affirmations in the morning but radiate panic over your credit card bill by the afternoon.
The people around you feel that panic. The desperation poisons the frequency.
So even if you are saying all the right words in a pitch meeting, the investor's mirror neurons are picking up on your dilated pupils and your shallow breathing.
Exactly. You are vibrating two conflicting signals at once. You're saying, I am a wildly successful visionary, while your body is screaming, I am terrified I won't make rent.
And I'm guessing the stronger baseline emotion always wins out.
Always. And the universe, much like an investor, does not reward confusion. It rewards clarity.
When you fake it, you create cognitive dissonance. And others just register that instinctively as untrustworthiness.
They might not even know why they don't trust you. They just know they don't.
I can hear you, the listener, practically yelling through your headphones right now. Like, how on earth do you hold a feeling of overflow when your bank account actually says zero?
It's the ultimate paradox.
It really is. It feels like telling an actor to play a king, but giving them a cardboard set and a plastic crown.
That's exactly what it feels like.
Because if that actor doesn't genuinely believe they are the king internally, the audience will just see a terrified guy in a cheap costume, no matter how loud he shouts his lines.
And overcoming that paradox requires intense mental discipline. The text argues that the wealthy build the future internally long before a single dime shows up externally.
They train their nervous system to feel safe with abundance.
Right. This means you have to rehearse the success in your mind's theater until the reality feels so inevitable that your biological responses reflect a person who has already won.
So it's not about ignoring the zero in the bank account. It's about refusing to let that zero dictate your baseline identity.
Exactly. You acknowledge the zero, but you don't become the zero.
Which brings us to a really striking metaphor in the source material. It describes your aura as a silent billboard.
I love the billboard concept.
Everywhere you go, you are projecting a message. And the text breaks down exactly what a truly aligned, wealthy billboard looks like by laying out 4 specific elements.
Right, so the first of those 4 elements is certainty.
And this goes far beyond just generic confidence, doesn't it?
Way beyond. Certainty is speaking and moving with intention. It is a regulated amygdala.
Just biological calm.
Yes. When you enter a room with certainty, you aren't scanning the faces of others to see if you are approved of.
You trust yourself so deeply that others intuitively borrow that trust.
Exactly. Contrast that with the salesperson who walks in reeking of desperation.
Oh, we've all met that person, laughing a little too hard at your jokes, over-explaining their product.
Their billboard just reads, please validate me.
Which repels people instantly. So what is the second element?
The second element is calm. You simply cannot radiate abundance if your energy is chaotic.
Let me push back on that, though. Because business, especially modern tech and finance, is built on speed.
Sure, it's very fast-paced.
We idolize people who move fast and break things. So how does calm fit into an environment that demands relentless urgency?
Well, speed and chaos are not the same thing. You can execute rapidly while maintaining internal stillness.
So it's about not losing your head while you're moving fast.
Right. Calm is about responding instead of reacting. When a crisis hits, the chaotic person operates from their sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight.
They're panicking.
Yes, but the calm person operates from their parasympathetic nervous system. They retain full access to their executive function.
So in a boardroom, a person who speaks the least, but maintains the deepest emotional stillness, is usually the one who commands the most authority.
Always. Calm is magnetic because it signals a surplus of resources. It says, I am safe no matter what happens here.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. The third element the source lists is congruence. We touched on this with the fake it till you make it trap.
Right, the alignment. Your thoughts, words, and actions must align perfectly to eliminate internal friction.
You cannot visualize a $1 million business while simultaneously avoiding the daily discipline required to build it.
Exactly. If your vision and your habits are at war, your billboard just broadcasts hypocrisy.
Which brings us to the fourth and final element, contribution. This means being valuable, solving problems, and showing up to serve.
This one is huge.
It's fascinating that contribution is the anchor here. We are culturally conditioned to view wealth as taking, right?
Oh, absolutely. We picture hoarding resources, extracting value, guarding the vault.
But this element implies that true wealth is a broadcast of overflowing value. It shifts the brain out of that reptilian survival mode where you're obsessed with what you can take and into a state of abundance.
Because you can't be in survival mode if you're focused on giving.
Right. So if your aura is a billboard, is it projecting, I am the answer, or is it whispering, please rescue me?
And when your energy genuinely says, I have done the work, I am the answer, the dynamic completely inverts.
People stop throwing obstacles in your way and start bringing you the opportunities.
The text notes that this isn't arrogance, it is authentic ownership. You earn the right to receive by giving without constantly keeping score.
Okay, so we know what the billboard needs to say. Certainty, calm, congruence, and contribution. But, everyday life is incredibly messy.
Very messy.
You sit in an hour of gridlock traffic, a client screams at you over an email, you read a terrifying headline. The friction of reality is constantly scraping away at that billboard.
And managing that friction is what the text calls emotional hygiene.
Emotional hygiene, I really like that term.
The fundamental rule of emotional hygiene is recognizing the absolute power of your environment. The source gives a very clear law. Environment is amplifier.
Whatever vibration you carry, your environment will multiply.
Exactly.
I actually think about emotional hygiene like the background apps on a smartphone.
Oh, that's a brilliant way to look at it.
Right. Because we wouldn't leave 50 heavy apps running on the phone and expect the battery to last it all day. Yet we walk around with resentment, anxiety, and petty grievances just running in the background of our minds all day long.
Just draining your energy.
Exactly. We might be staring at a blank screen, but our cognitive battery is draining at 100 miles an hour. If you don't practice emotional hygiene, you simply won't have the energetic battery life left to execute when a high-stakes opportunity finally arrives.
Your broadcast signal just becomes entirely static at that point.
Right.
And this is exactly why you cannot train a millionaire's aura while dining with complainers or doom scrolling through poverty mindset content.
If you spend your days consuming anxiety, you will vibrate anxiety.
The text insists you have to fiercely curate your surroundings. It's non-negotiable.
The hardest part of this hygiene isn't just turning off the news, though. The source points out something much more painful.
Yeah, this part hits hard.
The most stubborn thing standing between you and wealth is often the old version of you. The version that clings to struggle as a badge of honor.
Because so many people unconsciously equate success with disloyalty to their past.
That is so true.
The human ego is designed to keep us safe by keeping us in the familiar, even if the familiar is totally miserable.
We think, if I become wealthy, I'm betraying the working class neighborhood I came from.
Or I want to be liked by my current friend group more than I want to be financially free.
We are terrified of being outcasts.
Yeah.
We will literally choose financial struggle over the perceived social threat of outgrowing our tribe.
It's wild, but we do it all the time.
You have to actively kill the part of you that needs to be the underdog. And that requires a brutal level of self-honesty.
It forces you to ask, who do you become when no one is watching?
When you are alone in your car or lying in bed staring at the ceiling, what frequency do you return to by default?
Because that baseline is what the universe is responding to.
If that baseline is anything less than certainty and dignity, that is where the daily work actually begins.
Right, because aura training is not a passive philosophy. It is a highly active gym routine for your nervous system.
The text is quite clear that philosophy without application is just poverty in disguise.
I love that line. Poverty in disguise.
So let's get into that gym routine. How do we actually rewire the nervous system to maintain those four elements?
The source outlines 3 specific daily rituals for emotional calibration. The first is the emotional audit.
Which leverages neuroplasticity.
Exactly. Every morning, you check in with yourself. You ask, what am I feeling, and does it serve the person I am becoming?
And if the emotion is unqualified, like lingering resentment over an email from yesterday, what do?
You interrupt it. You consciously reframe it before it dictates your biological state for the day.
So you are literally pruning unhelpful neural pathways by refusing to fire them.
You close the background app before it drains the battery.
Boom. Exactly. What's the next ritual?
The second ritual is alignment affirmations. But there is a vital nuance here. You do not say these to impress anyone, and you don't say them to inflate your ego.
So it's not standing in front of a mirror screaming, I am a tiger.
No. You speak them to your nervous system to bypass the critical faculty of your brain. You want to rewire it to feel safe with abundance.
Statements like, I am safe, I am trusted, I am responsible with abundance.
Right. You are systematically dismantling the biological fear of success.
And the third ritual is visualization repetition. But it's not just daydreaming, is it?
Not at all. The source stresses that you don't look at your future self from the outside like you're watching a movie. You have to feel it from the inside out.
You move with their posture. You see through their eyes.
Making that identity so viscerally familiar that your body adopts it as its current reality.
Which brings us to perhaps the most powerful paradigm-shifting tool in the entire transcript. The source calls it energetic preplay or quantum rehearsal.
This is where the magic really happens.
Here is where it gets really interesting, because this isn't just visualization. It is high-performance sports psychology.
It is the exact same mechanism Olympic downhill skiers use.
Right. When they twitch their muscles and mentally race the course before they ever step into their skis.
Because the human brain cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined event and a real physical experience.
Let's break down how the text applies this to financial and professional success. So before a high-stakes moment, let's say a critical board meeting where you are pitching for funding, you don't just review your slides.
No. You sit still, you breathe, and you vividly imagine the event already went perfectly.
You feel the handshakes. You feel the relief.
But here's the crucial mechanism. You focus intensely on feeling who you were in that moment of victory.
What was your posture? What was the exact emotional tone of your release?
Exactly. And then you take that exact emotional blueprint and carry it into the real room with you.
You are essentially time traveling. You're borrowing the dopamine and serotonin from a future victory and wearing it as armor in the present.
Wearing it as armor is the perfect way to describe it because it entirely bypasses self-sabotage.
As far as your nervous system is concerned, the meeting is already over and you've already won.
You remove the fight-or-flight resistance because the body believes the outcome is secured. You aren't trying to win the room. You are operating from the frequency of a person who has already secured the funding.
It changes the micro-expressions on your face. It drops your shoulders. It lowers the pitch of your voice.
You stop seeking validation from the investors and you just signal certainty.
And their mirror neurons respond to that certainty. The market responds. Not because you are demanding something, but because you are broadcasting the reality of someone who already possesses it.
But we need to be incredibly clear with you, the listener, about a very real warning the source provides regarding this entire process.
Yes, this is so important.
When you start doing this, when you rigorously practice emotional audits, clear out the background apps, and raise your baseline frequency, your life is going to change. And the text warns that this change is rarely comfortable.
The source mentions that things might actually seem to break apart and collapse for a minute.
Because the lower frequencies in your life will rebel against your new baseline. It is a psychological phenomenon very similar to the crab bucket effect.
Right, where if one crab tries to climb out, the others pull it back down.
Exactly. Old environments will grow hostile. People you thought were close friends will suddenly fall away.
Long-standing patterns in jobs might just dissolve abruptly. People might even accuse you of changing, being difficult, or thinking you're better than them.
And when your life starts falling apart like that, the immediate instinct is to panic and assume you're doing something wrong.
It feels like a punishment for trying to grow.
But the source frames this phase beautifully. It is not a punishment, it is proof of evolution.
The person you are becoming simply cannot grow inside the shell of the person you were.
You have to let the old self die. You have to let others misunderstand you. Let them think you've changed because biologically and energetically you have.
You're not becoming a fake new version of yourself. You are remembering who you were before the world terrified you into playing small.
That is the core of the whole philosophy.
Your aura grows the most when the physical evidence hasn't shown up yet. When the bank account says no, but your nervous system still broadcasts yes.
When you show up to that intimidating meeting and believe why your hands are trembling.
That is when your inner training officially becomes an outer magnet.
It is a profound shift from the exhausting cycle of doing more to the magnetic state of becoming more.
So to recap the journey we've taken through today's source material, wealth is not just a math equation, and it's certainly not earned by frantic, fearful effort alone.
It is an energetic side effect.
By treating your broadcast signal as a muscle, mastering your emotional hygiene, cultivating the four elements of certainty, calm, congruence, and contribution.
And utilizing the neurological hack of quantum rehearsal.
Yes, you literally shift from chasing opportunities to magnetizing them. You stop begging the world for crumbs and realize you're built to bake the feast.
It requires relentless discipline, but the return on that internal investment alters the fabric of your external reality.
So, what does this all mean for you listening right now? I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over as you go about your day. Think about the biggest, most intimidating room you have to walk into next week.
A negotiation, a family gathering, a job interview.
Normally, you'd spend all your time frantically prepping your talking points, reviewing your resume, and worrying about what they will think of you. But what if you spent this weekend entirely prepping your presence?
What if you used quantum rehearsal to borrow the relief of next Friday?
What if you decided right now that the version of you who walks through that door has already won?